already apologizing to her, saying, okay, now, listen, we don't do things the way you do in our, you have to understand, in our country, it is, I was trying to, prepare her because I knew it was going to be a shock to her when she got there. And sure enough, we're sitting around the table and we eat with our hands. And they have this rice dish and at weddings. And I'll never forget, the first wedding as a kid that was, one of my Arab family members. And the men would all hover around this huge mound of rice and stick their hands and stuff their face and eat. I mean, that is just disgusting. And the hummus and the baba ganoush and all those, and then the bread, the unleavened bread or the pita bread, and you break the bread and you dip it in they double dip. And, you ready for this? They drink from the same cup. And they eat from the same. When Jesus was there, please don't sanitize and tidy up the Lord's Supper. Picture him there and forget this painting where they're sitting around this table. My goodness, perish the thought. They're on the floor, reclining at the table, eating with their hands. What are none of these nice little cups? And Jesus takes the bread and he breaks it and he says, here, same piece of bread, because those germs that are in you are the same germs that are in me because we're a common union. One last thing. I had my mom's side of the family, we had a family feud. You don't want Arabs having a family feud. It is really not a pretty picture. Lasted for 7 years. And then finally it was time to come together and make a reconciliation. So they planned this huge feast to resolve this feud, to come together once again, reconcile, and have a common union. I'll never forget it as long as I live. And what that did was it sort of sealed the deal. You know, when Yasser Arafat and Yitzhak Rabin with then President Bill Clinton on the White House lawn in September of 1993 signed the Oslo Peace Accord? It meant nothing to the Arab. You know why? Because Rabin did not break bread with Arafat. They never ate. Anwar Sadat of Egypt did. That's why he was assassinated. See? Because I'm loyal now to the death. Why? Because we ate together. And that's what Jesus was saying. Because we eat together. Here, eat. This is my body broken for you. In my death for you. See? I want to talk about the pre-tribulation rapture. And why I know, that's cute. It's not enough to just know what you believe. It's important to know why you believe what you believe. Now, I was reading a book that Don Stewart sent me called The Rapture. And at the beginning of the book, he's really, Don's a great guy, good friend. Just talks about how, we need to be respectful towards other believers who do not hold to a pre-tribulation rapture belief. And I certainly don't want to sound militant, and I know sometimes I can be guilty of that, accused. What? Am I that bad? But I am passionately dogmatic about why the rapture has to be before the 7-year tribulation. Now, I'm not going to have the time tonight to go into all the reasons why, but I do want to talk to you about the typology in the scriptures, beginning with Daniel, who was pre-furnace, if I can say it that way. Now, look at the parallels here, okay? You have Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and ABEDNEGO. They are a picture of the Jews, whereas Daniel is a picture of the church. Here's why, and here's how. This takes place in Babylon. There are two last days Babylons, Revelation chapter 17 and chapter 18. One is an economic Babylon, one's an ecclesiastical Babylon, or a religious Babylon. King Nebuchadnezzar makes an image. The Antichrist will make an image. The measurements of Nebuchadnezzar's image are 6 cubits high by 6 cubits wide, with 6 instruments that are listed there, and the number of the name of the man, the Antichrist, in Revelation 13 is to be counted, and it too will add up to 666. The 6 instruments are played, then they are to worship the image of Nebuchadnezzar. Lucifer was the angel of music, and music will play a role in the worship of the image of the beast. All the rulers of every nation and tongue are united together in one religion in ancient Babylon. All the world will come together and be united under a one world religion in the new Babylon. 3 Jews refuse to worship the image of gold. The Jews will reject the worship of the image of the Antichrist in the tribulation, when he sets up his image and demands to be worshiped in the newly rebuilt temple. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego go into the fiery furnace, just as Israel will go into the fiery hot tribulation. The furnace is turned up 7 times hotter. The tribulation lasts for 7 years. An angel like the Son of God protects them in the fire. Jesus, the Son of God, will protect them, the Jews, in the tribulation. After rejecting the false worship, they see their true and living God. So too will the Jew in the tribulation, after rejecting the worship of the Antichrist, accept the true and living Christ, their Messiah. Right before all of this, Daniel was placed up in a high position by the king. He's conspicuously absent from the whole furnace thing. Right before all of this happens, we will be caught up to our high position with our king. Daniel was lavished with many gifts. We are lavished again with many gifts. Daniel was put in charge and reigned over the entire province as a ruler. We will rule and reign with the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. Again, we as the bride rule and reign with him during the millennium. Daniel remained in the royal court. We as the bride will remain in his royal court, seated with him on the throne. So Daniel was pre-furnace. Enoch was pre-flood. Look at the typology here. As in the days of Noah, so too will it be in the days of the coming of the Son of Man. You have Enoch, a picture of the church, and you have Noah and his family, a picture of the Jews. The wickedness of man was great on the earth, Genesis 6:5. We are certainly in a time of great wickedness on the earth, and it's waxing worse. Very few people were following God's ways, we're told. So too, in our day, the gate is narrow and very few people are walking with the Lord. God warned his people. God is warning his people today. They didn't understand that judgment was coming upon them. People today don't understand that the tribulation is coming upon them. They would not repent, though God gave them time, and God is seemingly slow in our day in his coming. Why? Because he's not willing that any should perish, and he's giving man time. There was no great revival in the days of Noah, and I am not of the school that there's going to be a revival in our day. In fact, if anything, you could argue from the scriptures that there's going to be the antithesis of a revival, and there's going to be really a falling away. Now, I do believe there's going to be a gathering until the fullness of the Gentiles is complete. In other words, until that last Gentile gets saved. That, by the way, if you're here tonight and you're you ain't leaving here till you, because I want to go home. Okay. That would be. Could you imagine? We'll show up in heaven and go, yeah, the last one was at Calvary Chapel, Cuneo, hey. Which will be received with mixed response. So you held us up. In Noah's day, they went about things as usual, eating, drinking, and marrying. In our day, it's business as usual, and people are eating, drinking, and marrying. God set in Noah's day an exact day and time where we're told in Genesis 7:4, for yet 7 days. God has set an exact day in our day and time, yet for 7 years there will be a tribulation. Noah and his family go into the ark and through the great flood. The Jews will go into and through the great tribulation. Where's Enoch? Well, right before all of this, Enoch walked with the Lord, then he was no more. Why? Because God took him away. He was caught up, he was raptured up, and he was taken away right before the tribulation, right before the flood. So too, right before the tribulation, we who walk with the Lord, have a saving relationship with the Lord, won't be here. Why? We will be no more. Why? Because he's going to take us up and away. Okay, it doesn't quite work, but oh well. Now, I want to address something here that needs to be addressed, because some will take this and create what they call partial rapture theory, which means that only those obedient Christians will be raptured up, and the ones who, are not obedient or lukewarm or, they will be left behind. I'll tell you why that has problems. Here's the short answer and why I don't think you can support it in the scriptures. The rapture is a work of God's grace, not works. If you're walking with the Lord here today, you will be raptured up, caught up like Enoch was. If you subscribe to a partial rapture theory, you insert the unthinkable, and that is salvation by works. All of a sudden now, the onus is on me, and that's not scriptural. Okay, we're going to close. If you could just bear with me, I'm going to have to move a little bit faster here, because I want to draw your attention to the book of Revelation. This cinches it for me, okay? The book of Revelation, for me, is enough. It's all I need to believe that the rapture has to take place before the 7-year tribulation. Here's why. In Revelation chapter 1, verse 19, John, there on the island of Patmos, the year approximately 95 AD, is told to write, therefore, what you have seen, what is now, and what will take place later. In the Greek, metatauta, or after these things, yet future. In other words, John is given a divine outline for the book of Revelation. And if you study the book of Revelation, you'll find that it is broken up into 3 sections: past, present, future. Now, what's so significant about that? Well, what's so significant about that is that chapter 4, verse 1 is the rapture of the church. And you have this divine outline, and I'll give you a thumbnail sketch of it real quickly. Past is chapter 1. What's past? Jesus Christ crucified, buried, and resurrected, seated at the right hand of the Father. That's past tense, chapter 1. What's present? Chapters 2 and 3. What are chapters 2 and 3 about? The church H, 7 letters to 7 churches. By the way, if ever the Lord presents the opportunity, I would love to do another teaching on the 7 churches, because they were 7 literal churches in Asia Minor, modern-day Turkey, starting with the church of Ephesus, then Smyrna,